welcome back to day one. In this unit, we are actually gonna jump into Ableton. You heard enough of my voice? You're gonna hear a lot more of my voice for the next few days. Let's take a look. We here at the 10-Day Producer love to describe Ableton as a kitchen. In a kitchen, you have different utensils and tools to cook certain things in certain ways. Ableton is exactly the same. You've got a set of tools that'll do one thing, you got some tools that'll do other things, and you got some tools that'll help with everything. All right, it's time to open up Ableton. If you have not opened up Ableton, go ahead and do so now. Open up that program, get it running. Let's go, let's jump in. All right, now that Ableton is loaded, I really recommend that you bring out the visual guide at the same time, because I'm going to be just listing off a bunch of things, and almost everything that I list off is going to be in that visual guide, whether it's a shortcut, whether it's a like a track or an arrangement view or session view. Take a look at the visual guide as we go through this. I encourage you. The first thing that we are going to look at in Ableton is the browser. I'm going to be doing this along with you. I got my Ableton right here. We're going to do this together. We're going to jump over here to the left part of our screen. This right here, this whole thing, this is going to be our browser. I like to think of the browser as the fridge, where you're going to find all your ingredients, except maybe your seasonings. The browser is where you're going to find all of your samples, your plugins, your instruments. Everything you would look for is going to go ahead and be in that browser. And new to Live 12 is this awesome filter section over here. We're gonna go into the filter in a lot more depth later, so just take a look at it right now and then move on. All good, we don't have to know everything about it. A lot. If you wanna just search for something in the browser, if you're on a Mac, all you have to do is just Command F. If you're on a PC, that's gonna be Control F. What that will do is that will initiate the Finder window in the browser, so you can just start searching for things right away. So if I do Command F and I type in drums, I'm gonna find all the drums that are in across every folder that Ableton has access to. Using Ctrl F is something that I do every single time I use Ableton. It makes it so handy. It's as easy as just grabbing milk from the fridge. The next thing that I want to talk to you about is the arrangement view and session view. So currently, when you are looking at my screen right here, this big old window right here, this whole thing, this is going to be your session view. Now, Ableton has two main ways that you can look at your track, and we're going to be using this window for the first 3 days. However, if I click on the session view, anywhere in the session view, and then I push tab like this, it'll switch me into arrangement view. Now let's switch back to session view real quick. Session view is like a bird's eye view. Session view is a great place to start working because you can just throw little bits of audio, or clips as we're gonna call them, into these cells right here, and then they'll just start playing. You don't really have to see how long they are, they'll just go. It's a great place to just start being creative. We like to think of the session view as a bird's eye view of your project. Now, if we switch over to arrangement view, you see everything's not as up and down, it's a little bit more left to right, which is great. Arrangement view is your classic timeline-based view of your track, where you can see where it starts at the beginning and where it starts in the end. This is time. This is the beginning of your track, and then you go all the way here, and at some point in here is going to be the end of your track. So you just see it how it is over time. This is generally the place where you finish your song. You start it maybe in session view, kind of throw some stuff at the wall, and then you finish it in arrangement view, where you can get ultra specific. Arrangement view, left and right. Session view, up and down, or as I like to call it, horizontal and vertical. And tab, don't forget about tab. Tab makes it so easy to switch between the two of them. I like to think of arrangement view and session view as the oven and the skillet. To me, session view is like the skillet because it's a little bit more reactive, and you can kind of, get up in there and stir it up, give it a whirl, modify it a little bit quicker and faster than you might if it was in the oven. Versus arrangement view, to me, it feels a little bit more like the oven because you're just throwing it in there and then you're gonna let it stew. Of course, you can be very creative in arrangement view, but the intended function is to be a little bit more finalized. That's why I like to think of session view as more of a skillet, because it's a little more reactive, and then oven is the place where it gets fit. We'll get more into depth about the two later on, but for now, I just want you to meet them. Up next we're going to take a look at is clip view and device view. So far we've looked at up here a lot. I'm going to bring your attention all the way to the bottom of the screen in this section. Now this section is empty right now. That's perfectly fine. We don't have anything to load in it. So eventually when we load some samples and other stuff into these other sections, we're going to receive a lot of detail at the bottom of the section. This is going to be where our sample information is going to be, and this is also going to be where your plugins and your instruments and a bunch of other stuff, it's all going to live down here. We're going to jump right into this in a second when we actually start dropping samples in here, but for right now, I'll just tell you about it. Session view, clip view, and device view. And eventually, when you want to switch between them, instead of tab, it's going to be shift tab. So that's going to switch you between clip and device view. We don't have to know too much about them right now. You're going to learn them as you go. Again, tab to switch between arrangement view and session view, as we're doing over here. And then shift tab to switch between clip view, which is going to be your samples, and device view, which is your plugins. I like to think of the clip view and device view as your cutting board. This is where you're going to do a lot of dicing. You're going to do some specific stuff. You're going to do some kind of fine, specific work in these areas that apply to everything else, so what feels natural for it to be a cutting board, because you're going to do a lot of preparation in these windows down here. A lot of big, broad work gets done in arrangement view and session view, but a lot more finer, subtle work goes on in clip and device view. You're going to be up here a lot more than you're going to be down here for the next few days. All right, moving on. Up next is tracks, clips, and scenes. This is all going to be up here. So let's take things one at a time. Tracks. That's what's going on right here. So I'm going left and right between my tracks right now. Every time you open up Ableton, Ableton will load 4 tracks. It'll load 2 MIDI tracks and 2 audio tracks. We don't have to know what MIDI is right now. What we need to know right now is you've got MIDI tracks and you've got audio tracks, but these are your tracks right here. And even when I switch to arrangement view, you're going to see your tracks looking left to right. They're still here. They're still the same tracks, but instead of up and down like they are in session view, they're going to be left to right. Now, inside of these tracks, I'm currently scrolling up and down between these empty cells. These are cells right here in this track. Inside of these cells, we can place clips, and we're going to do that in the next section. But this is where things go. So let's say I just load a guitar sample in here. I'm going to go to my keyboard and do Command+F because I'm going to search guitar and I'm going to spell it right. Oh my God. And then I'm going to search for loop in the filter right here, and it's just going to bring up a bunch of guitar loops. So I'm going to click on this one. Look at that. Got some guitar going on right here. If I just take this clip and I move it into my audio track, it has to be an audio track, into this first empty cell. Now look, there's a clip up here. That's very nice. If I double click on the clip, look at this. Down here, now something has populated in our clip view. Now this is clip view and not device view because we're looking at our clip right here. I just did Shift Tab to bring me to my device view, and it was empty because there are no plugins associated with this track. No problem. All good. I've also just said a lot of words. We're going to get to all of these things very, very soon. Just stick with me. I'm going to go ahead and delete this clip because we don't need this right now. But that was a clip. It was a clip that we loaded in here. I don't need to do that. So that was a clip that we just loaded into a track. Now, if I load more clips like this, and let's say I go over to this right here, if I push this button, this is called a scene. And what a scene will do is a scene will play everything in that row. I'm just going to quickly search for drums, make sure loop is still engaged. Ho! Ho! And then I'm just going to drop this clip right into this empty cell on this second track. So if I push this button right here, both of these clips are going to play. Check it out. All right. Man, might have to save that one for later. I'm going to go ahead and delete it, or maybe I won't. I'll bring it back because that was real nice. To undo anything in Ableton, Command-Z. Command-Z is my best friend. Oh my goodness. So let me just break down tracks, clips, and scenes a little bit more here. Tracks and lanes are like aisles where different parts of your song go. Tracks help us organize our music over time. For instance, you might have a track just for drums. You might have a track just for vocals. You might have a track just for your synths, just for your mids, which is fine. It helps keeps things in their own lane so that they can eventually combine into our master track. Don't worry about that. We're going to get to that later. Down here, this section is called a mixer. Don't worry about this right now. We're not going to mess with anything in this part right here. Just know that this is called the mixer down here. Okay. And the mixer is a part of your track. Now, next up is clips. Clips are these little things that I just put up here. So right here, these are clips. I like to think of clips as sentences. They're small blocks of music, each with its own idea or phrase. Clips can be actual pieces of audio, or they can be MIDI clips as well, which we'll talk about again a little bit later. And you can view the details of this clip by simply just double-clicking it like that. Now, if clips are like sentences, scenes to me are like paragraphs. Because if I go over here and push this, both of my sentences will play at the same time, and we get this awesome sound again. Oh, man! When you play a scene, it triggers an entire row of clips. This is really useful for when you want to hear a bunch of stuff at once, when you want to combine it all. It's also really useful if you're performing, because you just get to play all of your samples at once. So I want to quickly talk about this section on the right over here. It says A, reverb, and B, delay. These are also tracks, but they're called return tracks because you are going to send effect to them a little bit later. We're not going to do this right now, but I just want to let you know that these are tracks, essentially. And then this one on the right here, the one that says main, this is called your master track. This is where all of your lanes and aisles, they're all going to end up in this single track. They're all being fed to this track. It's like a bunch of lakes going into a river, or a bunch of rivers going into a lake, whatever order that is. I think that's called a confluence, when a bunch of things join together into one body of water. That's essentially what the master track is. You're putting all of your lanes, all of your tracks into one master track. And when you finish your song, you're going to export what's on the master track, because everything's on the master track. If arrangement and session view are like your skillet or your oven, the clips and the tracks, this is all the food. This is what we're cooking. This is what we're cooking up. This is the stuff that you're actually going to make into your sound. All right, I got one more section for you. We are going up to the top this time. So right here, this section up top, this whole row, this is called your transport. This is going to be where a lot of your playback controls are. Playback being just how you're going to actually listen to your song, your project. Now, if I go up here, we got your three main ones up top. Play will just play. And I'm doing that also on my keyboard. You can also trigger the play button up here by just simply pushing spacebar like this. And if you want your track to stop playing, push it again. Just like that, it'll stop playing. Stop is useful for arrangement view because stop will also take you right to the beginning of your track, which is really, really handy sometimes. And then next to that is going to be the record button. We're going to talk about this button much more in the next few days. Right now, we're not going to talk about it right now. But play, stop, and record up here. Up here, these are all a bunch of tools and fancy things we're not touching today. Over here, we're not touching any of this either. I will say the one thing that I will let you know about right here is the tempo. We're going to talk about this in the next video. And then over here, some other stuff. Don't worry about it. Next! All right, dude. That is it. You just met Ableton. You met the arrangement view. You met the session view. You met tracks over here. You met your clips, which are inside of this. We talked about how arrangement view is like left to right. Session view is up and down. This bottom section right here is the mixer. This is your clip view and your device view. We switch between arrangement view and session view via tab. And we switch between clip and device view with shift tab. Scenes are how you play everything in your entire row. Clips are like your sentences. Scenes are like your paragraphs. This probably feels like a lot right now. And it is. I mean, oh my God, have you ever looked at the software right now? It looks crazy. I mean, it looks like a spaceship up in here. Of course, it's going to be a lot to deal with. Take your time. However, if you don't understand everything perfectly right now, I want you to know that that is fine. That is actually my intention. You don't need to learn everything in this exact moment. We're going to really figure out its function when we're using it in the next few videos. That's a basic overview of Ableton. You did it. We've explored how to get around the program and introduced some main views and tools that you're going to be using a lot. As we move forward, we'll dive deeper into each part. But take your time. Go explore. Get in there. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next video.